Hello, so glad you joined us for Hot Indonesia, the instant remedy for insomnia. And I mean, they're satisfied, not sleepy.
Oh, okay.
Satisfied. I'm Dalton Tanonaka in Jakarta. Here is this week's HI Hot List. Freedom to offend. How far should the media go after Charlie Hebdo? Top cop. Who's to blame for Jokowi's disastrous pick? And Statuette season. It's awards time from the Golden Globes to the ATAs. Every week, I am so blessed to be in the same room with two women I enjoy very much. Rahayu Saraswati, Sarah, is a first-year parliament member who actually ventures into her district after the election. And Yenny Wahid is director of the Wahid Institute, daughter of the fourth president of Indonesia, and people connector. She likes to bring people together. That's a good thing.
Is that your personal?
No, that's on her Twitter page.
I'm a party organizer.
Yeah. Not political either. Hot topic.
I was going to say, which party?
Hot topic number one, freedom to offend. The lines were long in Paris, with people waiting to buy the first edition of Charlie Hebdo. This after the January 7 attack that killed 12 people. A few days earlier, millions had marched in support of the French publication's right to publish what it wanted. The dead gunmen in the office shootings were said to have been retaliating for offensive portrayals of Islam's prophet in the satirical weekly. The U.S. had come out this past week in support of the publication's freedom of expression, but an Egyptian media outlet warned against publishing more images of Muhammad, saying it would make things worse. The Nahdlatul Ulama, Indonesia's largest Muslim organization, came out also warned against publishing more caricatures or images of Muhammad, which some say is stated should not be done in the Quran. Some say it's okay. Ladies, weigh in on this.
Oh,
While Yenny also condemning the violence and the...
Of course, everyone condemns the violence. I don't think anybody says we support the violence. Okay, go.
Right, sorry. I just would like to say something first before you, only because, first of all, as a neutral party, even though I am not part of the Muslim community.
You're not neutral. You have feelings, but you're just not Muslim. You're just not Muslim.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I'm a third party, I guess you would say. Having friends and families who are, I mean, I'm still involved, emotionally. I mean, it's not something that we can stand back from and say, oh, we're not a part of that. I mean, we're all a part of what happens to a community. And in this case, I have friends and families who are Muslims, and number one, definitely do not support the use of violence to convey a message. I think it's definitely the wrong way. If the end goal is to get people to understand your point of view, that's not the way to do it. I mean, it just creates more hatred. It does not create compassion towards the Muslim community, and that's one of the things that one of the activists for human rights and tolerance in France actually said, which is, this almost creates Muslim phobia, Islamophobia, they called it. And then number two, I think that at the same time, I do have to say, after looking at what happened, I was shocked to see people were posting, this was before I even found out what happened, people were posting Je suis Charlie and everything. And then I looked at the pictures that were publicized. My husband showed them to me, and I just thought they were absolutely...
They're crude, very crude, showing the prophet in poses with...
I would not support that kind of free speech, Dalton. I don't know if there should be a line. Obviously, it should not be.
Well, that's what we're talking about today. Should there be a line? Now, Yenny, as a former journalist, I think we both would defend the right of freedom of expression. But is there a limit? And I think we would argue maybe yes, there should be a limit.
The limit is again, the hate speech. Where do you draw a limit between freedom of speech and also hate speech? You're expressing your views in such a way that it incites hate, insults, and also incites such strong feelings among some communities without
and that's what they were trying to do, provoke some reaction in their audience. Now, they were a very small weekly publication. They were like 4,000 to 6,000 copies. Now they're in the millions because of this. If people who were outraged by this had let it pass, no one would ever known about it, and it would have gone unnoticed, and there would be no violence. But
actually, I mean, no. Actually, the issues about not just Charlie Hebdo, but all those publications that have been very offensive have actually come through our radar, especially in.
I'm sure there are some that have published images that it doesn't provoke, but it's a high profile. The point, I guess, is a newspaper or any medium has a right to publish what it wants, but if it wants to draw a racist caricature, a stereotype that's really crude. But should you? You can, but should you? As a whose responsibility at it? As a news manager, you have to weigh the responsibility.
Right.
Yeah. Should I publish things?
Some mainstream media, the New York Times and all that, and they decided not to republish the cartoons because they
show what caused the problem.
To show what caused the problem. Because I mean, and of course we can argue that we know that they are stand for freedom of speech, but the reason for that is because they draw a line themselves, like you said. There's a self-filtering, of what they think can be needlessly provocative.
And that's not censorship. That's not censorship because they made the decision, right? So,
yes.
So that's okay in my mind.
In a way, it is almost like self-censorship. You do want to, you look at, okay, this we don't need to show that. Okay, this.
And you're not saying that's a bad thing. That's,
no. That's exactly. Actually, I wrote on my Facebook page. I said that this is what I fear that's happening in Indonesia. Not so much to do with the vulgar and all of that, but simply because there's almost no limit to the freedom of speech. It's almost so liberal that it's almost being used for propaganda as well, and it's so easy when the people are not as highly educated as communities maybe in France or in America. It's very difficult to ascertain which publication is speaking the truth and which one is driving things towards a certain propaganda.
Yeah, and this publication was not known for being a top-notch or particularly sharp or really great satirical publication. It was just middle of the road.
We get satire. Yeah, I mean, it's fine. I mean, you can mock Muslims, you can mock Islam. It's fine. Just find something that is less offensive and less sacred to Muslims.
Now, what happens if an Indonesian publication had done this? It would not have happened here because even with a moderate Muslim majority, recently you read a Jakarta Post editor was reported to the police because they had published a cartoon with criticizing ISIS. I mean, talk about, taking a good stand, but he was still reported because he showed an image of Islam, blah, blah, blah. So that could not have happened here because people would get reported to the police if somebody published anywhere close to an image of Muhammad, correct?
Yes, I mean, well, in Islam, the thing is, in Islam, it's just the sheer public depiction of the Prophet is blasphemous, let alone a satirical or offensive depiction of the Prophet. Can you imagine? I mean, this is maybe the world doesn't understand this, but it's something that is held very sacred, and this is where you don't. It's like with the African American. They make fun of themselves. People make fun of them sometimes, but you don't. You refrain yourself from using certain languages, certain words, and because there is that.
Yet the people here in Indonesia would not necessarily understand that unless you actually have lived there and people have told you that it's not okay to say certain words, and there's the the racism card, the racism issue, and all of that. I mean, this is a culture as well. I mean, if you want to be able to respect other people, I think part of the process is about understanding where the other person.
Yeah, I think there are two sides to this story now in the days that follow. Okay, Hot Indo will continue shortly. The president's pick for top cop. What happened? You're watching Hot Indonesia with Yenny, Sarah, and me. Here's hot topic number 2, top cop. It's a puzzling dilemma. President Jokowi nominated Budi Gunawan to be the next national police chief. But 4 days later, the Anti-Corruption Commission names Gunawan a suspect over suspicious bank accounts. Then, the very next day, a parliament committee approves the nomination despite the KPK's announcement. Depending on what happens between the time we tape this and the time we're on the air, which is a day or two, something may happen. But what is going on? Did not the president vet this guy properly? I mean, you got to fault your staff or fault yourself for going ahead with something if you did know that there was a corruption investigation going on. And I say he should have known because he's the president.
Well, the president claimed that he didn't know, that it was reported, that he got all these reports from all people around him that Budi Gunawan was clean and clear. And Vice President Yusuf Kala and some people that he
pushed it.
Yeah, pushed it, and also some party members, and reportedly, or some little birds have been circulating that Ibu Mega is actually behind this.
And that is Megawati Soekarno-Putri, PDIP chairman, former president, who was his benefactor, basically, one of his big supporters.
Yes.
So you're saying he said he did not know?
He did not know. He did not know.
Do we
That's
believe
what
that?
he said. Well, even if he did not know, meaning that,
he should know.
He should know.
Well, actually, what's really interesting, I read somewhere, again, this is yet to be seen whether it's true or not, but it's a question, that the KPK, what's the English term for it?
Anti-Corruption Eradication Commission.
Right, the Corruption Eradication Commission. That they said that he should have known because Budi Gunawan apparently was in the running
for
the
minister job, right? He was vetted.
And he was vetted, and he got a red card.
Red flag.
The red flag,
yeah.
Right? Red note. So I'm not sure whether that got to the president or not.
It had to have. I mean, that's a politically correct thing to
But
say. I didn't know.
What is more interesting that now that it's out in the open, yet, sorry, Sarah, but the parliament still not officially.
No, don't say sorry to me.
So, yeah, but
she votes her own mind. I'm curious.
The Committee Third, the third commission
approved it unanimously.
Yes, only one
Democrats
faction.
walked out.
Democrat
They walked out.
Yeah.
Okay, so even the Guringer Party, which Sarah is a member of, approved the commission. Now let me ask you this: one theory I read, and Jokowi was.
Okay, I don't have a chance to.
No, I want to get back to your. I'm going to get back to you what.
I love how he's like, okay, now and.
The full parliament. I want to know what you would vote. Okay.
Okay.
One theory I read about this: Jokowi was, of course, as Yenny said, pushed politically to nominate Gunawan against his wishes because he knew what's good. But he did so knowing about the graft allegations because then he appeases everybody. He satisfies the political pressure, but he knows it's not going to get approved because the guy has a red flag.
Oh, that's the
theory. It's
theory.
almost guaranteed that it's going to be approved.
Yeah.
It's almost guaranteed.
Oh.
I mean, all the rhetorics.
Unless the president withdraws the nomination.
Democrat.
Yes.
I mean, this is the most sped up process.
Because he made the decision in one day.
Well, he did, and also the parliament did. I mean, the fit and proper test is scheduled. Actually, is scheduled for next week.
Yeah.
But they expedited
they moved it up.
They moved it up yesterday.
And the full parliament was supposed to vote on it or approve it the day after the commission hearing. And Sarah, if you were on the floor,
I was not.
Okay, then would you support?
I'm not part of that
I know, but
commission.
would you support his nomination?
No, here's
as a parliament member.
Here's the thing, that when it comes to this type of voting, it's not a per voice. It's actually a per faction.
Personally, do you support his?
Personally?
Yeah.
I guess it's one of the biggest questions is, personally, do I support anything that...
and you have opinions, that's why I ask
the
you.
President actually... Well, in this case, obviously, we have a lot of, I mean, when I saw that he chose as the sole candidate.
Yeah, something was up.
Right, I mean, sole candidate. And then I heard, stories about how his, this person, as in Mr. Budi Gunawan, with all due
and he's
respect,
innocent until proven guilty. No one's saying he's...
That's here's the thing. Okay.
He should be,
so there's two stands.
He should just resign and focusing on his legal
Very
case.
good point. If he would help,
not
he would help the
putting a burden
country.
on the country.
Good point.
Okay, yes, all that I support. But there's 2 points. Number one, obviously, what I was trying to say, with all due respect, I have heard even, these rumors need to be looked into. The fact that he had a very, very close relationship with the former president, who's a big benefactor, what she said. And then
everybody has friends.
Number two, when it comes to not me personally, but it comes to my position as a part of the Gerindra faction, is the fact that we can only work so much within the limits of the law. We cannot say a person is guilty until proven guilty.
Okay.
It's one of those things that, yes, we can say personally, all of us, one by one, can actually say, we do not approve of this. However, within the constraints of the law,
you have to vote this way.
We have to vote this
because of the evidence presented.
Because of the evidence presented.
But for a top job like
talking,
that, for a top job like that, I mean, even if you apply for a regular job, you'll be asked for a good conduct. Like you need to have a clean record.
So you wouldn't put yourself forward if you didn't, if you knew you were, but he obviously feels he was clean because he's defended his bank accounts saying they were legal. So, okay.
And one of the reasons, and we actually put out a statement from the Gerindra faction. One of it is we still remember that Bibit Samad Priyanto and Chandra M. Hamzah did lead the Corruption Eradication Commission, while actually having the status of being a
Of course,
suspect.
of course. We give people the presumption of innocence. But what has to happen now then, I think Yenny hit it, he should resign for the sake of the country, because if he is confirmed, no matter if he's clean or not, the impression and the perception outside of this country even that Indonesia is not taking care of business, they're taking care of people. That they nominated someone who was a graft suspect.
I really wish for this time that the parliament, which is exercise their rights and their power to just correct whatever mistake the president is making. They've got the power to do that. But they did.
Yeah, so he should resign, or the president should step up and say, "Hey, let's reconsider this whole thing."
Both of them. One last thing.
It's out of Parliament's hands now.
I think it would have been an easier, process if there had been more than one candidate.
Yeah.
But because there is only one.
Well, it's not too late now.
It's That's true. It's not final yet.
Mr. President, it's not too late.
And it may have happened by the time we take
yes,
this. Okay. More hot Indo.
I was like, whoops.
The program is still going on. More coming up. The award goes to the guy with Amal Clooney. You're watching Hot Indonesia from Jakarta. Here's hot topic number 3, Statuette season.
Make your lives extraordinary. I'll never forget that.
The Golden Globes in Hollywood last weekend marked the beginning of award season, and the stars were out ahead of the Oscars coming up next month. Closer to home, the 19th Annual Asian Television Awards was held last month in Singapore, where performers and programs from Beijing to Jakarta were honored. The Indonesia channel, in case people were wondering, will air the ATAs this weekend right after our Sunday night show. We weren't eligible to enter this year because we launched just in June, so we will this year.
There's a time constraint.
I loved it when George Clooney came up. He's a favorite of mine. He gave his Lifetime Acceptance Award speech and ended by acknowledging his wife, Amal, who he just married this past year. And that was from a lifelong bachelor, so I kind of relate to this. That was a highlight for me.
Is that part of the reason why you like him so much?
I don't know why, who won, but
Dalton, I know many Muslim girls. Also, but maybe not as accomplished as Amal, but
That's right. She is an accomplished woman, attorney, human rights campaigner, and a Muslim. Which is
a woman of substance, that I like to call her. I mean, I'd like to think, so.
And that's why the host joked that, they named her accomplishments, and then her husband's getting the Lifetime Achievement Award. It was hilarious.
That's very funny.
Okay, getting back to this award show, and Sarah, you've been part of some. They are very subjective. I mean, it's the judges who, but they're important because what they do is they help promote the product, the films, and they promote careers, and they're fun to watch.
Standards as well.
Yeah, they're fun.
I especially love the host. I mean.
Yes, I think that's who we look forward to.
Ricky Gervais.
In the US.
I love Ricky Gervais. I love Ricky Gervais.
And Tina Fey and Tina Fey was particularly funny the other night because they spoofed Kim Jong-un and the North Korea situation.
Right.
Was it
and Bill Cosby as well?
The movie, The Interview?
Well, they
they
took off on that. They made many jokes about it. And Margaret Cho, Korean-American comedian, came out dressed like a North Korean general, but that was funny. Okay, you mentioned the host. Maybe that's the problem why the Indonesian awards shows are not that big, because the emphasis is not on that. It's not a show. People just show up kind of hoping to collect their awards. We've got to do more with this to help promote the industry, correct?
No, absolutely.
We've talked about this
here's the thing. Here's the issue. I mean, being a part of the industry, I've spoken to a lot of my friends who are in the industry. And even those within the industry do not look forward that much to the awards, especially the Indonesian awards, because
they don't mean anything.
No, because it's not like in the Golden Globes where there's actually everybody who's in the industry who has a card as being a part of the Academy gets a vote. Here, there's only a panel of judges, and
I was one of the judges,
right? So there's only a panel of judges,
so
and
it's very subjective.
It's very subjective.
I launched. What's her name?
Titik Puspa.
No. She was a host. She was a host here as well. Not a host, but she came.
Cinta Laura.
Another one. It's a pretty girl.
Rahayu Saraswati.
That's all. Thank you.
Anyway, ada apa dengan cinta? That's,
Oh,
you know,
the
I judge on that. The ancestral, yeah.
How can you forget the girl everybody loves?
Wow.
I know.
Yes, no, but here's the thing. When it comes to, so talking about subjectivity, yes, there's a lot of issues with the local awards.
Make it more objective, maybe.
We do, one of the things that we do need to do is, in Indonesia, obviously, it's about making that academy, it's making sure that those who are in the industry, who have worked in it for at least how many years, do get that and get the right to actually vote.
Do it the proper way.
Do it the proper way. So I don't know about the objectivity, subjectivity over there. I think it's quite objective because they're all voting, you know. So, however, there's
some emotion involved.
There have come into questions about, you know, when someone was supposed to get the award. I mean, I remember when, you know, the beautiful, what was it, Beautiful Life, Beautiful Mind, not Beautiful Mind. He was supposed to get, oh gosh, what's his name? Gladiator, the actor.
Russell Crowe.
Russell Crowe. He was supposed to get it for Beautiful Mind, but he did not because Denzel Washington got it one year, and then the next year, then he got it for Gladiator when we thought
there is some subjectivity in America as well.
You know, Denzel should have gotten
Indonesia, let's get it right, do it right, get some great hosts,
Yeah.
we'll subtitle it, run it on the Indonesia channel, get it out the road.
nice,
Yeah,
yes.
let's do that. Okay, it is feedback time. We got to rush here. Let us know what your instant reactions are to what you're seeing here. We got this Facebook post from Sanadi. Glad to find YouTube videos of past editions of Hot Indonesia. Yes, Sanadi, thank you for mentioning that every episode of our program goes up on YouTube the day after we air. If you have any feedback on what you've heard or would like to suggest a subject for us to handle, please email us at hotindo@theindonesiachannel.com or comment through our Indonesia channel, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram pages. I got to sign up for Instagram. Final words?
Yes.
Yenny.
Well, I said this on my Twitter, you know, about the current situation now. Mr. President, we know that you are squeezed between a rock and a hard place at the moment. And if I could suggest a very simple way to deal with that is actually to listen to Jiminy Cricket when he sings, and always take your conscience be your guide. Ooh. And always let your conscience be your guide.
That's when you know that she's a mom.
A happy tune. Okay.
That's when she knows that she's a mom. If she's been watching all these cartoons.
If something hasn't happened between the time we taped and now. Okay.
Yes.
Final word, Sarah.
I posted this on Facebook earlier, and Instagram, sorry, at Rahayu Saraswati, my Instagram, that one of the hardest challenges I've had to face personally when it comes to my position in Parliament as a Congresswoman is how to keep a peaceful heart, a calm mind, and a joyful soul, even as I constantly think about the problems we face as a nation. It's easy enough for other people to switch off the TV and, you know, tune off what's going on in the world, but it's harder for us, and you know, who literally constantly 24 hours have to think about what's going on in Indonesia. And I think that a lot of people sometimes forget that we are humans and we do need to prioritize our families and our lives and our health especially. And I think that, you know, it's about working together and making sure that we do get to hear your voice, but in a way that as long as you communicate with us, you know, it's difficult to represent your voice if you do not communicate with us. I think that's
very stately, very stateswoman-like.
Right.
Okay, my final words now, short but sweet. Usually when someone talks big and loud, they accomplish only one thing: filling the room with hot air. And that is Hot Indonesia for this week. For Sarah and Yenny, I'm Dalton Tanonaka. See you again next time.